What's up, Gators Breakdown Plus members?
Dave! Happy holidays, Dave.
Happy holidays, y'all. Thanks for hopping in. Got a good bit of, a few sign-ups during the holidays. Have some good stuff, new members. I don't know if any of the new members are in here or not, but let's check the replay. And I don't know. We'll see what we talk about this one. I might put this one out for, or at least part of this episode out for non-members, just to get a little tease of what we do here. But hey, excited to hop on with you guys for the first time after the holidays. I took a little bit of time off, tried to catch your breath a little bit after the season. Gators, of course, finishing the season about a week ago, a little over a week ago there in the Gasparilla Bowl versus Tulane, and just been a lot of conversation going on. But like you said, happy holidays. Hope you guys had a Merry Christmas, happy holidays, New Year's coming up, all that good stuff. Plenty of college football bowl games, but I think we got plenty of Gator stuff to talk about. But I do hope you guys had a good holiday.
Busy as always when you got kids.
That is true. I think I put it here in the Gators Breakdown Plus Discord. Was up till like 3 o'clock in the morning putting the vanity together for my daughter. So it was well worth it.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, well worth it. She's enjoying the heck out of it.
Yeah, I had one of those and 2 bikes.
Yeah.
Yep. So every year it's something else.
It is. Thankfully, we're past the Barbie dream house stage and LOL doll.
Yeah.
Been there.
I think that was 3 years ago for us, I believe.
Yeah, way past that, thankfully.
Yep.
I did the Barbie dream house though.
Hey, there we go. I knew there would be somebody in here. I knew there would be somebody. Can't get away from that.
Yep. If you got a little girl, you're going to get a Barbie dream house. That's all there's to it.
Oh yeah, 3-year-old. Took 3 hours.
Yeah. Things get bigger and bigger every year.
I bought my favorite Pop-Tarts this morning.
Do they taste like Miami Tears?
Even better.
Man, I ticked off some Miami fans the last few days. That was fun on social media, on Twitter there.
Yeah, the whole Cam Ward sitting out at halftime. That's
I guess from what I could gather, that was the plan. But yeah, that was
okay. I mean, if it was the plan, whatever. But it just seems like a really, especially when they're talking about him, sitting out and they're showing the team losing, and then they're showing over him. He's just tossing the ball, no helmet on the sidelines, not even hardly paying attention to the game. It's kind of.
Yeah,
I guess that's the transfer portal era. I mean, these kids don't care about the school they go to; it's the paycheck and the exposure.
That was the worst look I've seen lately. Is him sitting there on the sidelines while it's the last play of the game, and that quarterback can't even throw it near the end zone on the last game of the play, or the last play of the game.
Yeah, I don't know if there was any confirmation.
DJ would have thrown that ball out the end zone, Dave.
Well, we saw AR do that.
What do y'all say to the argument that Trask did the same thing in the Cotton Bowl?
Yeah.
He played like a quarter and then bailed.
Yeah, but there are also a lot more opt-outs for us. There didn't our
that's a different situation.
Opt-out.
Well, and I will say this. The main difference I see is that Cam Ward is like kind of somewhat of what's wrong with football, where he's just like a hired mercenary that bounces around and then won't play. And Trask is like he's a Gator legend. And
Ward also went out just to break that one record, the most touchdowns. He did it just to break the record, and then all right, thank you very much. The rest is on y'all. It's the way I kind of viewed it.
There was one angle I saw to it, and I'm not trying to jump on the kid or anything, but one angle, went out there in the first half and proved something to the scouts. What did he prove in the first half of that game that he hadn't already proven?
Nothing at all. Exactly. I think it was probably like an NIL obligation. I mean, because it was obviously very abrupt.
Yeah, there's no clarity on this.
First half is over. Okay, I got my paycheck. Now I can shut it down.
You have to at least play. I don't know.
All he's proved, he really doesn't prove anything to the scouts. him and Sanders are going to be the first two off the board in just whatever order somebody feels like they want to deal with. So,
yeah, if anything, that one play that they showed where he was actually stopped and just stood still in the pocket, that just shows you that he's playing against behind a really good offensive line, and that he's probably not going to get that luxury in the NFL with whatever team he goes to.
Yeah. I think what I did want to talk about here with you guys is I know the wide receiver position has been a polarizing topic on the field, off the field, portal, guys on the roster, all kinds of stuff here. And I know the combination, the conversation has dominated kind of the last couple of days is now with the transfer portal closing for most of the college football right now is, does Florida need another wide receiver through the transfer portal? And, Jonte Cook probably could have been a Gator if Florida really wanted it. He chooses Washington. Florida was okay to wait and avoid overpaying there. But I think we still know in the conversations, Hirsch has thrown in here, I've thrown in here as well, that Florida is pretty clear, still targeting other players that are out there, whether, guys that just played or guys or college football playoff teams that have still, yet now to play in the quarterfinal. If there's targets on those teams at the wide receiver spot. But I do know, of course, that let's keep it up with it enough in the recruiting channel where, the wide receiver talk is pretty dominating. And if Florida, needs to go get another wide receiver, with Sturdivant also coming in already. But I know the conversation has been pretty hot and heavy on that topic. I got some thoughts on it too, but just kind of throwing it out there for you guys to get the conversation started. What are you guys thinking? And Cook committing to Washington, really no surprise if you've kind of been following the conversation lately.
It's the Lagway effect, Dave. I mean, I actually didn't think it was going to be this crazy, but every wide receiver wants to be on this team. And we're not going to just keep spending because I think we've kind of blown a load here with the class and then some of the other guys that we're retaining. But it's not a position of need, except for it's not a position of need, but we do need an upperclassman proven, because these young guys, we've seen it over and over again with these freshman wide receivers. They can't block and they don't see the field, and sometimes they're not physically mature enough either.
I'm honestly kind of content to wait until the spring portal period. I mean, if we get, because you're going to get somebody, and we need an older guy and a bigger receiver. So if the dude that's the rumored guy enters, then yeah, take him. But I mean, we're not hurting at wide receiver. If you had to pick something, we got more positions of need, in my opinion.
I think for this offense, I'd agree. I mean, unless we actually start opening up more, we're a run first team and we're going to rely on the deep shot, So it's, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying I think we're okay there.
I think run first and throw it over the top is an oversimplification of this offense, but yeah, I get it.
Well, I think if we take a look at the landscape for Florida right now, losing Elijah Badger, Chimere Dike, Jaquavion Frazier's, plus you had the departures in the transfer portal of Andy Jean and Marcus Burke. So you're bringing in J. Michael Sturdivant, as I said, from UCLA. Now, if you look at it, he'll join Khalil Jackson, Trey Wilson, Aiden Mizell, Tank Hawkins, TJ Abrams, Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown III, Nashawn Montgomery, and Luis Tunkara. So, yeah, I'll put this in the chat too. I think right now, if Florida was to fast forward and play a game right now for the 2025 season, the top three probably Trey Wilson, Aiden Mizell, J. Michael Sturdivant. So I think you look at it, is that room strong enough for Florida in 2025? And I don't think Florida's finished recruiting the position, but I see additional receivers, probably an enhancement, rather, kind of like you guys have said. I think it would be an enhancement, but not a critical need with already getting started in the portal. And I think looking ahead to next season, I don't see the current wide receiver group as, a limiting factor if Florida's going to be in the SEC championship game or fighting for a college football playoff spot. I think you can do that with the current wide receiver room, but With that said, I do think there's always room for improvement. You have DJ Lagway as your quarterback. You want to give him every possible weapon. So you got to do that up front in front of him as well with the offensive line. But I do think if you can add more talent, you go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a stud that comes out that we just don't know about yet, it comes out after these playoff games or in the spring, then absolutely, if you can get them, get them. I mean, you're not going to turn down elite talent, but at least you shouldn't be when you got DJ Lagway. I mean,
What
you want
about
him
like
to
a
be
tight end
successful.
or sorry, I thought you were done there. What about like a tight end or maybe a hybrid type guy?
It's funny
Yeah, I think
it's funny you
talking
brought
about
that
the
up. I was thinking
position,
about that
like
too.
specifically that would be a transition there. We were talking about this position specifically. I think we have a ton of leverage there. I'm not worried about it at all.
Well,
I think
what the Cook recruitment.
we're set up. I think we're set up, Dave.
Yeah, I think what the Cook recruitment tells us is Florida's not going to reach, which I like.
Yeah. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know.
Anything else?
That, and they're also not willing to. They're not willing to risk a locker room issue just to take a guy as well.
Yeah, that's probably part of it. But kind of going back to the Cormani McClain thing, as I said, I think if your locker room is strong, one or two guys isn't going to mess it up. I think if you're strong there, you can withstand, a little bit of dents here or there. You overcome those. You don't let those affect you all that much. But at the same time, I think in that room particularly, if you see it as any bit of a risk, and there's going to be other guys out there that will fit maybe what you need a little bit more anyway, then okay, you're fine with waiting it out. If he doesn't want to wait it out, okay, go ahead and make your move. We'll go find somebody else.
I think we need to be focusing on the defensive line and the secondary personally. I mean, that's where we really need to be focused. Trenches and secondary.
For sure. Certainly wide receiver, I think. But I think if you probably would rank it right now, offensive tackle, as I said, I think you got to also protect Lagway, as we all know. And then, certainly, defensive line with, Silver going to USC, certainly an angle to that now. So we know Florida is targeting that position for sure. You brought him on campus, you had the visit and all that, but you need that space eater. You need that, can take on double teams, clog in the middle of that defensive line. So I do agree. The trenches are way above wide receiver right now. Especially because you got Sturdivant already. So,
do we think there's going to be any change to play calling, offensive system? I mean, any whatsoever? I mean, after the 31st or whenever these contracts run out, is there still? Have you heard anything? I mean, are we just going to?
I do lean that way. I mean, I know we heard it all last year, so I'm also. I will put the caveat of I will see it when I believe it when I see it, but from asking around, being around, I do think some moves are going to be made.
My personal opinion, and this isn't any info behind this, is just that he keeps calling plays, but he brings in somebody else on the staff to kind of add to some more opening up in the passing game. Because Napier seems like he's much better at calling run plays than pass plays, in my opinion. That's just me, my ignorant opinion. But
he gave Russ Callaway anything this past season. It didn't really help. I mean, because the offense didn't really. I mean, I know we had a freshman quarterback and a game and a half with Aiden, so it could have been better, but it still wasn't.
I think Russ Callaway is kind of a terrible coach.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm my bus is out on Russ Callaway. Like I think he called all the plays in our bowl game against Tulane. It worked in the second half, but it was we were pulling our hair out in the first half there. And from what I heard, Russ called that whole game So I think the passing concepts have come into question today a lot in the Discord. I mean, I'm no expert at any of that by any means. I think it all comes back to the call player and the play call, and I think they have to make. They seem. I guess we're all really just like kind of chomping at the bit about these staff changes that might be happening. We're not only talking offensive coordinator, we're talking defensive coordinator, we're talking everything. I don't want to jump too ahead here. Obviously, there's personnel issues we're talking about. So, yeah, where I was headed with that. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, yeah, you brought up the bowl game and all that stuff, and hey, look, there was a lot of call for, hey, let's open up the offense a bit more. I mean, Lagway had 22 attempts in the first half of that game, so on pace
That
for
one not great, Dave.
on pace for 44. So I know there was a lot of talk of, hey, let's just open up the offense. Well, you had your 22 attempts in the first half of that game, so the two picks there.
I will.
Go ahead.
In Lagway and our defense, we had some really bad wide receivers playing that are going to be worse than what we have this coming season.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And offensive line didn't give him
that was
any time to block.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is our first time
terrible
talking as a group, since that. But yeah, it was definitely, especially the first half of the first half. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
up front play was left a lot to be desired, especially on that right side. And look, we know who was out and everything for the like, but it certainly didn't help any Lagway any, but also it was, like I said, it was a combination of things. There was one time it would be the play call, the next time it'd be the offensive line giving up pressure, the next time it'd be a wide receiver dropping a pass, or but bad decision by Lagway. Just if it could happen in the first half, the yardage was there. I mean, it was 190 passing yards in the first half with those 22 attempts. There was only 8 incompletions. 2 of those were the interceptions. So, but we're moving the ball. We saw the mistakes. We know Lagway, not 100% at the same time. Learning lessons. We're all excited about what he can do, but going back and looking at that and kind of going back to the play calling aspect of it, it's not as simple as, hey, let's just open it up, because you had your 22 attempts in the first half, as I said, on pace for 44.
I think it's just more about rhythm, man.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Napier can get into a rhythm when he's running the football really effectively, and he won't put himself in so many third and long situations. But I mean, when teams know what he's got to run, which that's another issue. His biggest issue is he's predictable. Then I'm not going to say his offense isn't bad, but when it comes to passing, it's not really a passing offense. It's not really designed to. I haven't seen it really to get your wide receivers out in space. It's designed to feed off the running game and get guys open off play action. But I would like to see a change personally. I mean, I still am doubt like you. It's wait and see. But Napier just really struggles with getting the rhythm, and he gets predictable, especially when he gets if he gets stuffed on first down, he really gets it's kind of just know what's coming next.
Yeah, I know.
Like when I watch, I don't see enough like week to week, like specific installs just to go specifically of what we think they're going to run. It just seems like we kind of run our system of plays instead of like maybe having like 10 plays each week that we haven't put on film yet to kind of, when we get in a tough spot to lean on it. It seems like we don't have those plays to go to.
Yeah,
that's an excellent point, and I think that goes back to rhythm as well. Like I just don't. I think our scripted plays that we run now are way worse than what Mullen's scripted plays were. Like Mullen stalled a lot on his scripted plays, but But you saw what he was going to come up with game to game, and Billy just does not have that type of acumen. And I know we all see it, but I know we need to have a offensive play caller. I mean, it's going to hold DJ back. It's going to hold this whole offense back because we're reloading right now. I mean, you keep this offensive line together. We're wasting something if we don't give DJ better than what we know he's going to get right now. If Billy is going to be the play caller next year.
Yeah, I would say some of his best play calls probably this year had to involve Jaden Ball. You go to the LSU game and that 55-yard touchdown run, it was the toss outside that we don't see a whole lot of in Napier's offense. And Lagway just tosses it out the ball to the left, and 55 yards later, so it's a game-sealing touchdown. Again, against Ole Miss, I think it was Jaden Ball as well. What the little was it a halfback? Was it a halfback swing or was it a check down to Ball and he just runs into the end zone there? I can't remember.
I feel like these are the types of things you can install week to week. That's easy, just little glitches. But if you're looking at running something like maybe a 4 wide on a high leverage play, like you should be able to do that.
I think that's probably my biggest gripe, kind of what you just mentioned, Dave. Like that, if you remember that play against LSU, they had a subtle little fake, like they were going to run that play action flood to the right, to the wide side, and then it's wide open because it held that backside linebacker. And it's like, we should be doing that like twice a game, like with how many times we run that flood. It's like he's like saving it for like a rainy day instead of just trying to like just go take the points, just put your throat, step on their throat.
Yeah, I do feel like there's not enough times where I say, man, that was a great call. Like, that play against LSU, that was perfect. Like, like as soon as I saw Lagway pitch the ball out, I was like, oh man, this is going to be big. And I didn't know it was going to be a 55-yard touchdown, but kind of going to your point was, yeah, you saw that was going to probably be that rollout to the quarterback's right, like we saw under Richardson, like we saw under Mertz, like we saw under Lagway. That is a Napier staple. And there's the toss right away. I was like, yeah, okay, that's going to be a big play just because of it's little somewhat unpredictable from Billy Napier. I do agree that there's no what a great call. I don't say that enough.
Main thing I want to see is just like we said, the run plays are fine. I feel like the passing plays, they need to develop faster. Everything just seems so slow. I don't know how to describe it right, but everything just seems like it takes so long to develop routes, which doesn't help the O-line play either.
Yeah, I felt that was the way of the bowl game against Tulane. It felt clunky. Like the passing game was never on time. It was Lagway would drop back, and on the top of the drop back, the ball wasn't coming out. It was scramble a little bit, get some time, and then make a throw.
Okay.
It's hard to judge a lot of stuff on just
it really is.
The bowl.
I'm just saying that's the last game that was played.
That's our recency bias.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, forget the bowl game. There's plenty of times where it's just 2-minute offense, just clock management. I mean, there's so many things that go into it when if Napier calling the plays than just the actual play we run. I mean,
but
yeah, I mean, it's just there's more to it than just the actual plays that he's calling. Which, like you said, if it works, why not go back to it? Like he does those rare plays that break for 50, like that little toss, and then you don't see it again until like it's third down. I don't know. I think we saw it again like the next game, but it was in a completely different situation and it didn't work. I mean,
what game was it where they threw multiple times to the tight end? Hayden Hansen, I think maybe even who was it? The guy that's headed out, but he's I think it was Oh, it was Georgia, and they were moving the ball downfield, throwing multiple times to the tight end. But I think it was like 3 times in a row, and then they just went away from it immediately.
I mean, well, defenses adjust and all that stuff. I mean, that's going to be part of that. But
Yeah.
I mean, without studying that game, that heavy into it, what Georgia was doing or whatever, I can't figure out why you're go away from certain things that do work. But
And we were winning. We were winning, Dave.
yeah. But with that, there's so many returning pieces. Like, I think a lot of this is, and we know, and I don't think it would be the best path anyway. You're not going to come in and just completely change the offense. I don't think that does DJ Lagway any favors. It doesn't do this team any favors, especially with 4 to 5 offensive linemen returning, returners at receiver as well with Trey Wilson, Nate Mizell, and then the new faces there. It's just going to be, I think I used the word earlier about the wide receiver room, just enhance it. I think that's all just kind of what we're looking for we see the potential in this offense and the way you've recruited. I think of course you've recruited really good running backs, but you've recruited some really good playmakers at the wide receiver spot as well. So I think, just as bad as base as we can put it, just open it up a bit more.
I personally would like to see a little bit more tempo with our offense. I mean, I know we use a lot of motion, and a lot of it I think is useless motion. We use motion a lot to set up the jet sweep or the 1 or 2 plays that Trey used
No
to
such thing as useless motion.
Yeah, well, anyway, I would like to see a little bit more tempo to our offense. I think that would benefit Lagway, the passing game and rhythm. I mean, if we just sped it up just a little bit.
We can't even go 2-minute offense.
And that's part of the problem. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no urgency to the offense whatsoever. It's always slow and methodical, kind of like Billy Napier. It's the offense is, you can tell it's his offense. He's calling plays because he's got that same type mentality. Slow, methodical.
I think he's probably even ruined Russ Callaway's career.
I don't know about that, but
yeah, I mean,
it was a joke.
Let's move on. Didn't know we were going to get there tonight, but that's the good thing about these chats. I don't know, never know where they go. Kind of continue on with some of the wide receiver talk, but just in general too, to kind of expand it out. Kind of been on notice. Now with Dallas with Dallas Wilson's commitment, of course, Florida got up in top 10 of 24/7 Sports composite rankings. But just how good this class ended up being there for the Gators, and especially in the state of Florida, dominating the state of Florida for the in-state schools over FSU, over Miami. Georgia didn't come in, Ohio State didn't come in, Alabama didn't come in and dominate. Florida was a school that dominated at the top of the in-state cycle for this class. Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown III, Hilton Drake Stubbs, Ben Hanks Jr. I mean, it's about time that we saw that trend change.
You just stole the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say it's about damn time.
And it's such in a dominating manner too. Like it's not even close. Like these were all out of state teams that got these top 10 players, and I mean, I'd like to even see how the trend went from there, where all these kids went. But I mean, you gotta put that on your shoulder. I mean, especially after a Pop-Tart Bowl runner-up performance and a 2-10 performance at the other end of the state, like you've got to love this outcome and being just the utter dominating force in recruiting. And I think you have to give a lot of props to this isn't boosters doing this. This is Florida Victoria's doing this, and it's a grassroots movement that we've all contributed to after we turned the quarter with, we've got 4 straight victories in our belt. When last year we ended the season with 5 losses, and now we're seemingly turning the quarter. We're not all bought in on the head coach, but I think we've all got to be bought in on this team and what we've been able to build. And it should be highly encouraging forward into next season.
Yeah, Bill. I don't know if you guys caught what Bill Sykes had to say, and I had shared the article, but we're a refresher here, for that class as well, this 2025 class. Bill did say, this is the highest such total since they signed 5 of the top 10 in 2010. All other Florida classes have since featured 0, 1, or 2 of the top 10 in the state of Florida. This class also featured the most in-state composite top 25 prospects with 7 since the 2017 class, which also had 7. So certainly have done some things Florida hasn't done in a while in the recruiting trail in this 2025 class with this crazy finish they were able to put together. As I said, I think it makes a statement when it's not Alabama, it's not Georgia, it's not Ohio State. This class, and given the last 2 seasons on the field that Florida State has had, not counting this season, but where you lay the groundwork for this class, the last 2 seasons on the field have been good for FSU. Could not take advantage. Miami, the hot team in the state on the field, beating FSU, beating Florida both this year, not able to take advantage. I mean, Florida's win streak at the end of the year and the vote of confidence for Billy Napier, really go a long way. And, Florida put together a really good in-state class here.
It helps to have a couple legacies too in that class.
For sure. Definitely.
But we've seen legacies go elsewhere before too. So
Lazy take.
Yeah. That's true. But, who was the last big legacy that went elsewhere? That is a good point. I'm trying to bring that up in my head now. Is it as far back as E.J. Smith going to Stanford?
maybe that was the one I was thinking of. I thought there was one.
I did too.
Semi-recently,
It has
but
to be the only one. Yeah.
recently to me could be the last 10 years. The way
I
the
know.
way my memory is.
Yeah, the way life goes.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I thought there was, but maybe not.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm trying to think of it. No, I'm really trying to think of it. Yeah, that might take some research.
I mean, that's let's not take that for granted. You still got to be able to get these kids there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, look who's in
Yeah.
look who's in Florida secondary. Bryce Thornton. Where'd his dad go? Georgia.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, so you look at it from the other angle. Florida's got a Georgia legacy, doing some things.
I mean, I am so hyped over Miles Graham. I can't even taste it. Big fan of his dad.
Yeah. That's the thing lately too. You've had some, it's not that they're just their legacies. I mean, these are guys whose dads did big time things at the University of Florida. Great things for the University of Florida.
Oh man, Ben Hakes, man, I used to love watching him play when I was a kid. He was fun to watch.
And we'll extend that. I did want to come back around to wide receiver with that, and that is being for Florida, 2 5-star receivers. I mean, I haven't checked in the last 10 minutes. Is Vernell Brown III still a 5-star? Who knows? But of course, him being a 5-star, regaining that status. Dallas Wilson a 5-star too. I mean, it's you guys heard me say in the Dallas Wilson episode, and I put it in the article too. I mean, that's Florida's. That's 2 of the top 7 receivers they've signed since the year 2000. That's how special this wide receiver haul is with those 2 guys, Andre Caldwell, Chad Jackson. It hasn't been achieved since those guys, all the way back in 2003, where Florida gets 2 top flight receivers in the same class, and in state as well. So for this cycle, so you knocked off one thing with having a lot of guys in the top 10, but also at the receiver spot, getting 2 5-stars there. Really, really, sends a signal for those classes as well.
And this one is the Dallas Wilson. That just goes to kind of show you recruiting is still about relationships a little bit, because he was in Oregon, got homesick, and came back. So he could have. I mean, if he had a better relationship with Miami, they might have been an option. So
This is only the most recent incidents of this, and obviously he's a much more high profile player than any of the others. But this isn't anything new. This has been happening. Like these players, finish second. Hey, it's probably better than finishing first these days. If your in-state player is leaving town, if he's going to go cross country or even to South Carolina, it don't matter. You get a second shot at these guys, and the second they feel like they need to leave that place, they're coming home.
It really does seem it has made a major effect for Florida's, last couple of classes and, transfers as well with Cormani McLean and Pup Howard and the last class with Demetrius Robinson and the kid that was at Alabama, the cornerback, Jesus Christ. Grimsley, yeah. Grimsley coming in as well. Now, Dallas Wilson. Just really, yeah, and to your point about relationships and stuff. I mean, look, we all know we're not going to hide behind the fact that money has a lot to do with it too. But even if I think it can play out this way too for some guys, the money's going to be even in a lot of these places. So if the money's going to be even, what else is going to be the tiebreaker? And I think that's where you also that's also where you go to relationships.
For that. It might be coming full circle now again.
It could be.
I think Billy's a very strong recruiter, and I think when that class fell apart last year, that was, because of the circumstances. It wasn't because Billy wasn't a good recruiter.
You're telling me results on the field still matter somewhat? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, exactly. Ending season with 5 losses.
Apparently not at Auburn.
Less than ending your season with 4 wins.
Yeah, I do think it holds probably more weight for some schools. Like you said, you mentioned Auburn there, so it is interesting how it will maybe affect one school and not another school. Or
it's just the transfer portal has made, and it's not. I mean, it's NIL, but it's mostly the transfer portal that I think has made everything so crazy. Just allowing kids, to up and leave, whenever they want for a little bit more money. It's just that's the worst part about all of it to me. Is just
it's pairing those two things together.
I mean, yes, they need to get money, but do they need to go to 4 different colleges in 4 years? Just to get a little bit bigger paycheck. I mean, that's just insane to me. But anyway, I'm sorry.
I think it might be. I think it might be slowing down a little bit, to be honest with you, because with the profit sharing and all that, I think a lot of the money is going to be even, much more even, and it's not going to be as lucrative for you to leave your school that you're at, that you have relationships with, and all that kind of stuff. So that it might return much closer to a situation of, your recruiting relationships that you've made, like say you're Billy Napier and you've been at the school so long and they've extended you for another contract, like that relationship might still matter. I hope Billy's not calling plays at that point, but
hey, I thought about this the other day though, and if you are a fan of parity, do you want it to go back to the old way? Or do you want the portal to stay like it is?
I think it should be a one and done transfer. I mean, I don't think it should be wild west transfer every year. I mean, I think if you want to transfer once, fine, but you can't transfer again, or you have to sit out a year. I mean, I kind of like the way it was before it became wild west. Back when the transfer portal first became a thing, there were actually rules to it where and then if you could, like I said, you could do the one-time transfer rule. And then if you did it again, you lost a year of eligibility, or you had to sit out a year. And then they got rid of that, and then they got rid of the one-time transfer rule, and now it's just transfer as many times as you want. So just bring it back to like it was in the original, and when the transfer portal first became a thing, and there were rules on it. That'd be fine for me.
Yeah, I do. It just entered my mind. Would it go back to what it was, and you still had your, same schools that are dominating college football? If you, get rid of how it is now.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
They keep
there's more
making it
parity.
even worse. Like they just passed that. I think it's the junior college issue,
Mm-hmm.
and so we just got like a guy like Jacoby, and he's already played for 2 years. What, he's like 20, but if you take out his junior eligibility or his junior college eligibility, the court says now he has 4 years of eligibility. So we got him for another 3 years. How do you feel about that?
Well, he was on the team last year too, wasn't he?
No, this is his first year here. Hey, Jacoby?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's got one more. So he's got 2 more years.
Right. He'd have 2 more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So say, he was on the team. Yeah, he was on the team last year.
If the court decision sticks, I think that's how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And we also have that.
Well, he was at Columbia. He was at community college in 2020, but of course that won't count. So he's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's actually played college football for 5 years.
But this is his first year.
Well, he
in the
redshirted.
NCAA.
But he redshirted last year. He was on the roster last year.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Oh, I thought he.
I still think 5 years should be the
crap.
max to play allowed to play college football personally.
But we know he's going to team next year.
Well,
So.
hey, so what about the Air Force tight end?
What's
Air
up?
Force tight end, Caleb Rios.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Oh, well, that's not junior college.
Right. I was wondering where you're going with it. But okay.
Craziest thing about the transfer portal is that you can transfer from service academies. That's always amazing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's.
I always thought it's like, I don't know. I always was that kid. I remember like saying like stuff to my dad. He was like, no, whenever they graduate, they got to go to the Army for years. Can't get out of that.
I think it's just 4 years when you initially sign up. So technically, your 4 years would be up after you graduated if you did 4 years in college. I don't know.
No, that's not how that works at all.
I don't know how.
But,
Maybe not. Okay.
I mean, every example I have of it is like old examples, like Staubach or David Robinson or stuff like that.
They
how it
talked
works
about it in the
now.
Army game. They talked about it at the Army game yesterday.
Oh yeah.
As long as you don't make it past your sophomore season and do like you have to do some kind of ceremony or something in between your sophomore and junior season. As long as you don't make it to that ceremony, you can transfer.
Oh.
Okay.
So basically, you could play 2 years and then transfer.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what they were saying.
It is
Yeah,
junior
but-
college.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing about Caleb Rios. He's in grad school.
Yep.
See, we're all trying to talk about this. You just go ahead and assume that it makes no sense and you can do whatever you want.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you
Pretty much.
guys were going down a path, and I'm like, wait, but no, he's actually in a grad school. He's actually graduated, so like I don't know how he was able to bypass it. So
To keep back on the topics we were having about this class and recruiting class, coming up, what was it, January 2nd, we got the Under Armour All-America game. The players were arriving today, but pretty interesting. Florida will have the most players of any school participating in the Under Armour All-American game. So another feather in the cap for this class. You got wide receiver Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown III, Nashawn Montgomery, linebacker Ty Jackson, defensive lineman Jalen Wiggins, and running back Byron Lewis. And also for the first time this year, underclassmen. So your 2026 quarterback Will Griffin can also play in this game. So pretty interesting there. The Gators are the most represented school at the Under Armour All-American game. And so kind of guys to tie it all together, all this, after the disastrous start to the season and then ending in the 4-game winning streak, the recruiting class taking a big hit, finishing with a flurry, and all this kind of bringing it back around to the Pop-Tart guys. Miami head coach Mario Cristobal claiming during the season, quote, all recruits in-state, out-of-state can now clearly see the trajectory of this program versus the other programs in the state. Sorry, Mario, it didn't go your way.
Yeah, they see the ACC is a joke in college football, and they don't want to put their team in the ACC.
Look, and I know I ticked off Miami fans the other day when I said it about that win over Florida. It really don't mean anything. It really doesn't mean anything. For bragging rights, it does. Congrats, you have that. You can't take that away from you. But on the field, off the field, it doesn't mean a thing.
That's going to mean something. We put B2A on whenever we play them this year.
But my thing is, going to that, it's bragging rights unless you go win a conference championship or make the college football playoff. Then it's just bragging rights between the two. But
at the end of the day, we had one more loss than them, and we won our bowl game. So
we beat ranked teams. Teams that end the season ranked.
I think we just need to show up hardcore at Hard Rock Stadium and just take over the rented stadium they have down there.
Oh, it will be taken over.
That is like an hour and a half away from their campus.
Man, you couldn't pay me to go down there to that game. Miami fans are scary, especially on home turf.
See, I grew up on the other end of the state. So I don't really
bro.
have the same beef with Miami fans as some of y'all. Like, it was always FSU was the ultimate rival.
I think it is for most people. I think it is for most people too. But I agree with Chach, and the Miami fan base is that fan base is different when you get with them in person.
Hey man, I was there in Orlando.
Yeah,
we're stuck on the freaking. We're going down the ramp, getting off this thing. We're stuck because they're down there at the bottom and wouldn't move. And I keep hearing about whatever. I keep hearing all sorts of scary sounding hoods getting shouted out. So I'm like, I'm ready to get out of here. Talking about what was going to happen when we got down to the bottom. I'm like, I ain't part of this.
Yeah, on second thought, that doesn't sound great.
There's a lot of Gator contingent down there already that can.
Yeah, I have no doubt the Gator fans will.
We'll let them do that for us.
Well, and
we'll be out in there.
I think we're the you talk about not having the same beef with Miami fans as some others do. It's definitely like a location divide. Because I'm sure all the Gator fans that are from like South Florida, Central Florida, have more of a beef than we do. I mean, I'm North Florida boy, so I don't ever even see Miami fans.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I was. I mean, I grew up in the Panhandle, so that's why I assumed if you were south of Gainesville, you probably really hated Miami, and then north of Gainesville, you didn't. It's whatever. So we didn't play them every year. There was always just every few years game anyway.
Yeah, growing up here in Tampa, I definitely can feel probably a little bit more than you guys, but
well, Corey, that's interesting. Yeah, for a lot of the Gator fans I know in Tampa, Lakeland area, they have let it be known to me because they know I hate Georgia more than anybody. That they all hate Florida State more than anybody.
Hey, but it's also Miami. I can't let them try to come up here and take this like I-4 corridor type of area. Yeah, like all the way from Tampa, Lakeland, Orlando, all the way up that way. So yeah, this has become a very entrenched recruiting area. Holy crap. Like we were fighting those guys. I don't know if there's any money left down there, and I honestly don't know if Miami has any recruiting budget anymore. We seem to be doing okay right now.
Did y'all read what I know people were making fun of it, but did y'all read what KC posted on Rivals?
Mm-mm.
And I'll just paraphrase what he said. Basically, he talked to some SEC coach who said that basically was that Napier is such a great recruiter and has such a relationship builder that if you get a guy that either A, isn't about the money, or B, the money's the same on both schools, he said Florida's going to win out because of Napier.
Mm.
He said because the kids just like him so much. He's such a good guy. He said so. He's like, obviously, you know,
Who
everybody.
said that?
That's what KC posted on Rivals.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I mean, I think we can see that. I mean, I would even say for the
he was
Dallas,
probably an ace before the NIL and transfer portal. I mean, Napier probably would have been right up there with Saban and Kirby. You know,
I mean, he was at Alabama. I mean, him and Cristobal would go down there to Miami and South Florida and get all sorts of guys. And I mean, I know he had Alabama behind him, but I mean, you know, there's other guys that were at Alabama that couldn't recruit for nothing too. So I mean, you got to recruit somewhat. You got to have somewhat natural ability to even go get guys.
No, I've always said, you know, I've gotten to know Napier a bit more than past Florida coaches, you know, with Gators Breakdown and being around the program a little bit more. And I've always said, you know, the person himself, love him to death. I mean, you're not going to meet a nicer person out there. So I think, you know, you can see how he resonates with. And I talked to parents too in Jacksonville that have been on recruiting trips and all that stuff, and they absolutely love it. So I think, and I think I have said plenty of times, and I know you guys have echoed that same thought. If he could ever get it rolling, it's going to be hard to stop.
Yeah, but what is getting it rolling? I mean,
it starts. I mean, what you got now, you got to turn into more next year, and you got to go compete for the SEC. You got to be in the college football playoff conversation. I mean, you've got to start filling that trophy room a little bit.
Yeah,
That means
expectations next year. Yeah, that's what the expectation should be next year.
It should
all
be.
these guys coming back.
Yes.
Definitely be. It should be. You should be thinking championship possibilities in my mind, but
with all these pieces coming back, and you decided to bring Billy Napier back, that absolutely should be the expectation. It is not a reset.
We are not a championship team next year, and I'm sorry.
I don't think so either. But
we are not a championship team next year. It's not an SEC championship, and it's not a national championship. And I'll tell you what, I'd rather be focusing on SEC championship. But
you better be in the college football playoff. College football playoff conversation.
We're going to be a playoff. We're going to be a borderline playoff team, and that's it's going to be a lot of fun next year because I love this schedule.
10-2 or better, the way I look at it.
Yeah, I'm saying something kind of like Tennessee had this season. You know,
I mean,
you know, you weren't SEC champions, but you're either in the playoff or borderline, and then which Tennessee fell apart. But and then
we have such a better quarterback than Tennessee does.
Corey, you gotta let people finish.
So excited.
Well, I'll say this too. I keep hating on Florida's offense, but we run a real offense. That's Tennessee's problem. They run a goofy offense.
And our concern
on bad teams.
Our concern should be fully on the defense because we don't know how that staff is going to fill out, and we've got a lot of big time problems on that side. This should be like what everybody is talking about is what we're going to do on the defensive side of the ball, because on the first time in like 3+ years, we finally figured something out on the back end, and we can stop somebody from putting the ball in the end zone. Like we've got to figure out a way to continue that. And there's so much young talent on this team, but they're still very young on that side of the ball. The defense is old, or the offense is old. Like the defense needs to be under the utmost scrutiny, and they need to hire Will Muschamp to fucking figure this thing out and make it all make sense. And I putting that on record on this chat tonight that I want Will Muschamp to be the defensive coordinator for the Florida Gators in 2025.
He is not going to be here, so we can just move on past that.
Anyway,
news about
tonight.
Is there any news about the UAB safety that came and visited?
Not on my end. I don't have any, but I'm fully admit I have completely because of the holidays. I have been mostly checked out on purpose. So that's this, and a lot of people are on vacation too, so it's hard to get some, as deep dive info. But probably starting tomorrow, people coming back to work for a little bit after the holidays can start asking around about some things. Good stuff, guys. Anything else before we wrap it up? About to wrap it up.
I mean, I just want to say that Will Muschamp is available, and I think he should be on the first plane to Gainesville in the morning.
I mean, Rex Ryan's available.
We
too,
just
but
figure this thing out.
Is his son still going to be at Vanderbilt next year?
If we push out a couple coaches here, we can free up $2 million in salary and give it to old man Will, and he can come in here and just make sure that it's satisfactory going forward. So DJ can do what he needs to do on the other side of the ball. So,
Corey, you been drinking the Bush lattes tonight?
Well, and
Yeah.
thanks for dropping the F-bomb earlier too, Corey. I got to go edit this. I got to edit this now. I got to edit this now.
God,
I've been laughing just at you. I don't know if I've been beating myself or not, but you're cracking me up.
I mean, that's what I'm here for, brother.
Yeah,
we're all off work. Do what you need to do.
I am serious.
I
am going to have to edit this now.
Right.
Oh no, did I fuck up, Dave?
Yeah, you just did again.
And again.
Oh no, not again, Dave. Sorry, man.
Got to get your mind right.
I'll hang out. So I'm not gonna cuss on your podcast anymore. I love you guys.
Hey, get your money.
Hey, Merry Christmas to all y'all. Happy New Year. I hope all of y'all have had so much fun and loving all your family and all that good stuff. So.
Good stuff, guys. Thanks for the chat.
Love you, Dave. All right, good night, guys.
See y'all. Thanks for the chat, guys. I won't edit it for Gators Breakdown Plus members. It'll live on.
Oh my goodness.
It'll live there. But if I put any of it on YouTube, it's gonna have to be taking the F-bombs out there.
Happy New Year, everybody. Go Gators.
Go Gators.